All right, here we go. Hi there, everyone. Welcome to tonight's guest speaker for the Almost Confident Village. Tonight's speaker is someone who I had the privilege of being connected with for well over a year now. And I've watched as she has just created dynamic support in helping women understand how their marriage could be impacting their health and especially how they approach communicating with their husband. And so I would love for her to share with y'all about just how we can embrace how God created us to be, and ideally how we can funnel that even to how we talk to our husbands in regards to navigating a healing journey. So if you want to add anything to your introduction, please do, Cara. I hand the baton to you and you have the floor.
Uh, well, first of all, thank you, ladies, for showing your faces because you're all so beautiful, and I'm just so honored to be here. And I'm excited to just pour some life into you. I know, as women, we have a lot on our plates, and it's just I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that you've chosen to invest some time into yourself. That is so important. And tonight we're going to talk about all kinds of things you may not have even realized are affecting your health journey and your overall wellness. And then we're going to talk about, yes, communication and support and all the things that you really need. So I'm excited. I'm gonna share my screen here, and then let me know if you see it. Do you see my screen? No. Okay. Hold on. Oh, I know what happened. There we go. I didn't do that. There we go. Okay, do you see it now? All right, awesome. So, and you don't see the little box that's on the side, do you? Is that just something that I see? Okay, perfect. All right, so I just titled this presentation tonight, The Weight of Survival Mode, because relaxing into your femininity, maybe that's a concept maybe you've never heard, maybe you have, and you're totally familiar with femininity. Maybe you're like, I don't even know what she's talking about. That's totally okay. But femininity is so important, and it impacts your health, it impacts your healing, and it impacts your marriage. And so I'm excited to talk about that. I myself am a mom of 5. I actually used to be a personal trainer and a fitness instructor for many years. I had my own fitness business, was a health coach, and now I am a marriage and femininity coach because I really like to get to the root of things. And this is one of those things that actually it's deep. It's like at the root of a lot of the stress that we experience. And that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. So how many of you feel like you're constantly carrying everything? I know that was me for so many years, and it was exhausting. You know, you're the planner, you're the manager, you're the one thinking ahead, you're the one checking in and holding everybody accountable. You're trying to stay disciplined, you're trying to fix everything. And that is a heavy burden that we actually weren't meant to carry alone, but yet so often we do. And it wears us out, and it can affect us in really negative ways. So the hidden problem is many women are trying to heal their body, which I believe is all of you. And kudos for that, because it's just such an incredible investment to invest in yourself and your health. And so you're trying to heal your body, but a lot of women are still living in this survival mode, which is a big contributing factor to why things maybe aren't going the way you hope they would. So chronic stress, emotional tension, over functioning. I don't know if you relate to any of these. And by the way, I think I can probably see the chat. So I don't know if you guys use the chat a lot, but I love the chat in my own membership and in my own calls with my ladies. So if you want to, I want to hear all the things, right? I want to know if you relate to something. I want to hear where you're from. I want to hear all the things, where you're at in your health journey. So please share in the chat with me. It's always way more fun when you're letting me know a little bit about you, then I don't feel like I'm just talking to myself, because even though I always need a refresher myself. So anyways, this chronic stress, love it. Thank you, Nellie. Chronic stress where there's just so much coming at us, right? And we are living depleted. Maybe we're not getting enough nutrients. We're not getting enough sleep. We're having a lot of inflammation from the stress, right? Over functioning, where we're trying to take care of everything, or maybe even trying to communicate in ways that we don't need to necessarily communicate just to get heard, because we're trying so desperately to get those needs met and to come to this place where we feel peaceful, we feel at rest, but we're missing that. And instead we're feeling exhausted. So we feel that pressure, that constant mental load, right? The 100 tabs going on at once in your brain, and that can contribute to a lot of that overwhelm. And then a lot of us are also feeling emotionally unsupported, which is so hard. And all of this contributes to your body eventually starting to go into an overwhelm. And eventually it can even start to shut down. And this goes all the way into your physicality, right? Into your cells in your body. When you get to this place where you've gone through trauma and you've been so stressed, even starts in your cells, and it starts to turn something on in your cells to try to protect them, to try to keep you from having more and more issues. So this is really, really important. Now, we have femininity, and then we also have masculinity, and we all have parts of both, right? We have a masculine part of us, which helps us if there is an emergency, right? A lion's chasing you and you have the capability to run. You have the capability to think about how to fix this and how to, right, deal with that. You are able to perform some of these more masculine things. But what a lot of women are living in right now is over masculinity, right? We are actually living in more masculine energy than we are in feminine. And so it's not about men versus women. It's about these survival patterns that we adopt. So masculine survival energy, it sounds like I have to hold everything together, which I think somebody was just sharing something in the chat about the list and all that. So you get it, right? If I don't do it, no one will. These are all things that I myself have felt because I went through 15 plus years of pain in my own marriage. I've now been married almost 20 years. Praise God that we did so much healing work to get to a place where our relationship is healthy. It's definitely not perfect, but it is finally healthy. And so I was in this state for a long time and I didn't realize what it was. I didn't know how to name it. We were seeing therapists. We went to our pastor and everybody was just like, husbands do this, wives do that. And it was just like, there was no actual help for what was going on. I was in this more masculine energy where I feel like I can't relax. Rest feels irresponsible. I feel like I'm not valuable if I'm just sitting around resting, right? And I felt like I had to stay in control. That is what I'm talking about here with the masculine survival patterns. Raise your hand or put something in the chat, maybe a heart, or I don't know if you can use emojis here, but I'm not familiar with Google Meet as much. So you guys enlighten me to all the cool things that Google Meet can do. But let me know if you relate to any of these. So your body keeps a score. And I know Nellie's probably talked a little bit about this with you as well, because it's so true, right? When your nervous system constantly feels unsafe, which is what a lot of us are feeling like we can't relax, feeling like we have to keep doing, we have to keep fixing, we have to manage, or everything's going to fall apart. And we're living in this more self-protective energy. What happens in our body? Cortisol rises, inflammation increases, sleep suffers, cravings intensify. And I'm sure you've probably experienced some of this, right? Emotional eating increases, hormones become dysregulated. Your body struggles to rest and repair, which is what you need on a daily basis. You are not meant to be a human doing. You are a human being. And I believe that God has a place for us where he wants us to live from rest, not to live from performing and doing and always trying to accomplish in go mode, right? And that's that chronic stress. We're just not designed to thrive in that kind of environment. We can do it in short spurts, right? Short spurts like the lion chasing you. But when you're living that way day after day after day, it really takes a toll. Yes, Nellie, I'm loving your comments. Yes, yeah. We think a monthly rest day is enough, but absolutely, yeah, it's just not. And when we do that, it's not going to help us in the long run. We'll eventually see, right? You'll see here, a stressed body holds on to weight more easily. It struggles with energy. You're seeking quick comfort. You're staying in fight or fight mode, and you have difficulty slowing down. And what eventually happens, and I hate to be I hate to be the one who says this, but it doesn't eventually just get better. A lot of times we think, well, this season is only for a little while, right? I'll get through it and then I'll rest. But that's not going to work, right? Your body doesn't just eventually heal itself. We have to do something about it now. We have to bring healing in and start changing our environment, start changing our habits, start changing the way we think and talk to ourselves even. All these things are such a part of it. You have a body, a mind, and a heart, and they all matter, all the parts of you. And sometimes we just focus on our body, or sometimes we just stay up here in our heads, thinking, overthinking, a million times thinking, right? And we forget about our hearts. Every part of you matters. And every part of you needs to be acknowledged and needs to get your needs met. So what happens when women relax and heal? Then we come out of that survival mode and we relax back into our femininity naturally. Femininity is not another thing that you need to do, you need to perform, you need to get better at. No, at least not the way that I teach it. Because like I said, I have 5 kids. I have a homestead full of animals. I homeschool. I run a business. And I'm not looking to add another thing to your plate, just like I'm not looking to add another thing to my plate. This happens naturally. Your body will feel safer. You breathe deeper. The stress decreases. Emotional regulation improves. So when your husband says something to you, you ask him for support and he says, I think you're wasting your time, or I don't see an improvement, or I don't know why you need to do that. And you feel your blood start to boil. You know how to create that safety for yourself. You know how to calm your nervous system. You know how to show your heart, you matter to me. I care about how you feel, and I'm going to meet those needs that you have, right? You stop living in this constant urgency. This was totally me before. Oh my goodness. It was like I had to try to do everything as efficiently as humanly possible. I'm literally parking my car at the grocery store and running into the grocery store. Like, yes, I really was. I would like run places because it's like, why walk when you can run? I gotta get in there. I got stuff to do. And that was me living in this constant urgency and stressing other people around me out too. Like, is this done? Did you get it done? Right? Checking in, like my husband's accountability partner to the extreme. And I'm not saying that he was perfect. There was a reason why I was always having to check in on him, which was part of our story. But you're able to reconnect to joy and pleasure again. I can't even tell you how important this is. I think so many of us women are disconnected from our own pleasure and our own joy, and we're just living in this daily grind, this life of what do I have to do today instead of what do I get to enjoy today, right? We're disconnected when we're, I don't know if all of you are married, but intimacy with your husband, we don't even enjoy it a lot of times. It's like something we dread because we're so disconnected from our pleasure and we're so closed and we're so tight and we're so feeling unsafe. And so when we learn how to relax and open and enjoy our life and get back in touch with our pleasure, these things, it changes your life. It really does. It changes every part of your life, including your health and your weight loss and all of that. And then you stop punishing yourself too. You see yourself with love instead of, I was so judgmental of myself. I had an eating disorder. I was over exercising. I treated my body so poorly because I had so many wounds and I thought I needed to try to be perfect to be loved. And so that also affected how I looked at my body. And I treated myself so poorly. Like I said, I would eat something because I was so stressed out. I'd eat brownies. I'd eat a bunch of them. Like I was like binging. It was like binge eating and then over exercising or trying to make myself throw up, right? And so I would eat all this because I was so stressed out. And then I would say, how dare you? Like, that was so horrible. You should feel so bad about yourself, right? I was sick. I literally would make myself feel sick about myself with the shame and the judgment. And I would go and run until I felt like I was going to puke. I would go to the gym and I would go to the gym and just try to punish myself and work it all off, right? But this is seeing yourself from a totally different lens. And that self-compassion is agreeing with God's love for you. That's how he looks at you. He says you're beautiful now. He won't love you any more or accept you any more than he already does in this moment. It doesn't matter what you did today. It doesn't matter what tone you used with your kids or your husband or your coworkers. It doesn't matter what you didn't do. He loves you so much. And when we start to understand that and really bring it into our hearts in a real felt experience, not just in our heads. A lot of times we say, yeah, I know God loves me. I know this, I know that. But do you actually know it in your heart, right? Have you experienced it? And when we start to experience that, we start to treat ourselves that way. And then we start to treat others that way. It is so powerful. Okay, so femininity does not mean weakness. That is not what femininity is. And a lot of times I think that's kind of what comes in, where people are like, oh, femininity means you can't talk. It means you just need to, say nice things. You can never, it means that you can't work. You can't, you have to wear dresses and, makeup and, put bows in your hair, whatever, right? But that is not true. Femininity, biblical femininity, is not passivity. It does not mean you just let your husband walk all over you. You just let everybody walk all over you and you just smile and look pretty in the corner. No, that's not what it means. It is softness. It is a way of being. I want you to think of that way. It's not a thing to do. It is a way of being. And it's already in you. You already are perfectly feminine. It's just that a lot of times what happens is years and years of pain and unhealed wounds build up and cover that over. And that's why we show up in that more masculine energy, because we're trying to protect ourselves. We're trying to feel safe. And so it's softness without losing your strength, because your strength is incredible. It's important. And when you are relaxed into your femininity, you are more powerful than ever. And I will say that is absolutely true, because the way you carry yourself and the energy you give off in a room, how, and maybe you're like, energy, what is she talking about? Okay, let me give you an example. So I have several teenagers, and one of my teenagers comes in the room last night to say goodnight, and you could just feel, it was like dark cloud energy, like, oh, and I was like, what's going on, right? And then he just continued to, anyway, but you can feel that. And it's so, your energy as a woman is so powerful. When you walk in a room, it can change the entire environment of the room. It can change the entire environment of your family. It is so powerful. It's also peace instead of constant striving. And do you know how powerful that is for you? It feels so good to live from peace instead of constant striving, which is what I was doing before so much. I was trying to earn love. I was trying to do enough to be seen, because I had a lot of wounds from my childhood around not mattering and feeling very unloved. And so I thought, if I did enough, if I was good enough, if I, got enough awards or accolades or whatever, I was successful enough that I would finally maybe matter to somebody. I would be valuable. And so this living from this peace instead of that striving, oh, man, it changes everything. It's also so important to receive, right? Receiving is a big part of femininity, and allow yourself to receive support and love, even from yourself. This is a big thing, and it is a powerful step. A lot of times we don't want to receive things from our spouse. We don't want to receive help from anybody. Who has brought in the 300 bags of groceries on both of your arms and around your neck or whatever? And someone said, like, can I help? And you're like, nope, I got it, right? That is what I'm talking about. And we might tell ourselves, I got it. I'm strong. I don't need that. But when we actually live from this place of like, yes, I want to receive support. I'm open to receiving love. And whatever you want to give me, oh, it feels so good. It's also slowing down enough to notice your heart again. Usually when we're in that survival mode, we are ignoring, we're pushing it down. We're like, I can't take any more pain. I can't take any more anxiety, fear, anger, frustration, discouragement, disappointment. And so we push it down, or we distract, or whatever. But coming back to your femininity is allowing yourself to feel. And it's so powerful. It's so healing. What we don't feel, we store in our bodies. And you can bet that is impacting your overall health. We store these things in different organs, different emotions in different organs. And so when we don't allow ourselves to feel, it just stays stuck in our bodies. And it can And this is from personal experience. It affects your health. It can lead to autoimmune conditions. It can lead to chronic pain. That was me. I have chronic migraines. I am still waiting for God's healing in that. It's a longer story, but anyway, I think so many things impact that. So it's also about being connected to your body, noticing, being present. You're able to recognize how you feel when you actually have a craving for something versus when you're actually hungry, right? You're able to just notice when your body needs rest. You're able to notice when you have more energy to do certain things and when you don't, right? All these things, and it's living from safety instead of survival, and it's so powerful. So the emotional side of health, and I just talked about it a little bit, but unprocessed emotions, like I was talking about, they get stored in your body. They also can become exhaustion, irritability, emotional eating, shutdown, anxiety, tension, burnout. Because like I said before, healing, you as a person, you as a woman, you are a body, a mind, and a heart, right? All of you matters. And so healing is not just about getting the pounds off or balancing your blood sugar or, whatever. It is also about your emotions. Everything is connected. And I'm sure Nellie's probably talked about that before. Everything is connected. You might think, oh, my joints hurt. Well, that must mean, whatever. It is connected to it all, your mind and your heart. It is connected to it all. So you cannot downplay our emotions. And this is one of the reasons why so many women feel alone. First of all, we're not connected to our emotions. So that last slide, yes, we need to be our own first safe place where we allow ourselves to process and we offer ourselves love and compassion and validation in those things. But also, I know a lot of you are feeling unsupported, right? And maybe you're thinking, why doesn't he notice how hard this is? Why does every conversation become an argument? I just want encouragement. I want him to care. You want to be seen in the journey you're on, which is awesome. And I'm giving you round of applause all over the place because it's so awesome. I'm so proud of you. When we are looking for support, sometimes men hear the complete opposite of what we're trying to get across, right? We say, I need more support. And he hears, you're failing me. You're not enough. You're doing this wrong. And that's not necessarily on you. He has healing that he needs to do. But it's something that we also have control over what we're bringing to the conversation. And I'm not saying you need to word everything perfectly and you need to That's going into that overfunctioning. What I'm saying is you get to bring your energy, right? You're either bringing this more masculine energy where there's a difference if I say to you, I just really need some support, right? Or if I say, I would really love your support. That's something that I really need right now. You feel the energy difference. There's a difference. And I'm not saying perform that either. I want it to naturally change as you heal and relax into who you already are as a woman, right? Because they get defensive, they start making a bunch of excuses, or they shut down, right? And you're like, yep, I asked for support and look what I got. I just got him making a bunch more excuses, or he just completely stopped talking and now I'm feeling even more unheard than I was before I shared what I needed, right? So I know this is what we come up against. When women are overwhelmed, sometimes communication can sound controlling, critical, managing, correcting, intense, frustrated. And it's not because you're bad. It's because you're exhausted. And so you're like, oh, I just need some support, right? Like, would you just do this? Why, when I ask you this over and over again, right? They can tell when that's the place we're coming from. Feminine communication is not silent communication. Like I said before, right? It does not mean you're passive. It is grounded, it is confident, and it's loving. So instead of that, like, you never support me, right? It's, I really need encouragement right now. And I'd love for you to be that strong rock for me. And I don't really like giving scripts because I don't want you to go into performing mode. But I thought that it would be helpful to at least give one example of just kind of what I'm talking about. And I'm not saying go and try to, say something that doesn't feel genuine to you. But you see the difference, right? Something that really works well for men is to ask them for help because they want to be your hero. That's like one of a guy's biggest things. And you can actually, when you're relaxed into your femininity, you can actually call him up into more masculinity. If he's giving you a lot of like passive, weak, whatever energy, whiny, I don't know what, right? Then he maybe is not really stepping into his full masculinity. And you can actually kind of help inspire that in him again, calling him up, saying like, I'd love for you to be that strong rock for me, right? I need your help. Would you help me? Would you, right? And be very specific. Men, right? They need specific. We think we're communicating something and they're like, I don't know what you needed. And you're like, I told you I need support. And he's like, I don't know what that means, right? So you can also get very specific with him and tell him exactly what that looks like for you to get support. Like I said, though, it's really mostly about the energy that you bring. And that feminine energy is going to come naturally to you. You're going to notice a softness. You're going to notice an openness. You're going to notice that you don't feel like you need to protect yourself and you're just sharing the bare minimum or you're sharing out of frustration. You're going to start to notice that naturally as you heal. So here's one of the things, how to get the support you need, because I know you need that support. That's valid. You need support. And I'm so glad you're in this community, first of all, because you're getting incredible support with Nellie. And everybody else. But another thing you can do is to listen to yourself, right? And meet your needs with God. You can ask I do this myself every day. I ask, what do I need today? This morning, I kind of like take some quiet time outside, just meandering around my fields as I have land and, only the animals are listening. And I was just checking in with my heart, noticing what I was feeling. And what's the need I have? And it was encouragement. So I was asking God, how are you encouraging me today? Right. And then I can also encourage myself. So sometimes we think we need him to do these things to get that, but you can also give it to yourself. And then, yeah, absolutely. You can invite him in to meet your needs too. But that's kind of like the cherry on the top. That's not the whole thing, right? That's not the whole dessert, is him meeting your needs. That's you. That's between you and God. And then asking him to meet your needs too, that's kind of the cherry on the top. And hopefully he wants to, and it, but like I said, there's a lot of things that influence that. Also, you can encourage yourself and ask God how he sees you. This is so powerful to see yourself the way God sees you. You are a daughter of the King. You have everything. He doesn't want to withhold any good thing from you. And that includes your health and your wellness and your well-being and the stress and all that. He wants you to live from rest. And asking him how he sees you, this can be one of the most beautiful things you ever do. Because when I've asked him so many times, he just shares the most beautiful things with me. And it makes me feel so valuable. And I'm not doing anything in that time. I'm just sitting there with him. And knowing that that's how he sees me all the time, even when I'm in pain. Even when I'm hurting, even when I said something really nasty to my husband, right? He still sees me that way. And this is all part of that healing. So joining a community that's helpful and supportive, check, you did that, right? So important. And then showing up for that community. Because sometimes, we get busy, or we maybe think that, something is blocking that, where we're actually showing up and getting the support that's available. I know you have incredible support here with Nellie. And sometimes it's reminding ourselves, yeah, you are worthy of that. You do deserve to show up for that time and take that time to be there and pour into yourself tonight. Being present in the moments, right? And savoring, enjoying the journey. We have to celebrate all the things, right? We have to celebrate all the things, because sometimes we think like, if I just get this goal, if I just see this in my health, then everything will be better. But sometimes when we get there, there's still an emptiness there. And so it's important to be present in the moment and enjoy all the parts of it, because that's part of it. That's actually all wrapped up together. It's all important and it all matters, and it can all give you joy. And then share those wins with your husband too, right? Share that part with him. Show him what's going on. And you might inspire him on his own journey with health, right? So practical ways to relax into your femininity. And there's so much more to it. I have an entire course that I give my members, and we get deep into it because a lot of it is, oh, hi, Tracy. And a lot of it, it's deep, right? Deep wounds that we maybe aren't even aware of. And so there's a lot of healing that's needed, but there's also some beautiful things that you can start practicing already today, right? Slow way down, right? Slow way down. And you're living from this place of rest, and you're living from this place of joy, right? You're slowing down your eating. You're slowing down your moving. And I'm not talking about your workouts. You can still move, at a whatever pace in your workouts, right? But you remember my story about the running into the store, right? Okay, I do not do that anymore. Unless maybe it's raining. Because I actually now enjoy looking around me, noticing, smelling the air. There's a thing with me and smells. Like, I have a very amazing sense of smell, which wasn't absolutely helpful during my pregnancy, but it is usually helpful. Anyway, and so you're slowing down and you're noticing all the beauty around you in your life, right? You even can slow down your responding. When he snaps at you and you want to snap right back, right? You can, what's going on here? How am I feeling? Right? What do I want to say? That is so important. I also encourage this. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever done in my life. Taking this time every morning. Like, I wake up, I drink my salt water, which I know Nellie drinks her salt water too. But I get up, I drink my salt water, and then I go outside and I just meander around, like I said, quiet time with God and checking in with myself. I don't turn my phone on. No way. That's a great way to disrupt your peace. I'm getting that sun first thing. It's so good for your health, right? Your circadian rhythm, all of that. And I'm just quiet. I'm just checking in with myself first, because I'm showing myself you matter, right? And I'm being with God. And there's no better way to start your day full. Instead of, I think a lot of us start our day empty. And we're like, okay, here we go again, right? But start your day full. It's going to feel so good to get full first. And then you're just living from an overflow of love, an overflow of peace, because you know who you are and you have filled with his love and compassion. Playing worship music, letting yourself soak it in. There's this one song, and I can send it to you guys somehow if you want. I can send it to Nellie and she could post it, whatever. It's called like the Father's Song or something like that. Anyway, it is so deeply healing. And I remember one time just laying on my floor and just listening and envisioning it happening, what they were singing in the music. And it was so healing for me. I can't even tell you. But it's things like that where we really listen to the words. We really bring our hearts into that worship. We move our bodies, whatever feels good, right? It's rest instead of pushing harder. When you're, about to get your period and, you're like, should I go do a HIIT workout and, add more stress to my body? And you're like, no, that's not going to feel good. My hormones are dropping. I need some nourishment. I'm going to go do some yoga, or I'm going to go do some gentle walking or whatever, right? You're listening to your body. You're resting when you need that rest. And like I talked about, it's getting clear on your true identity. You're a daughter of the king. That means you're a princess. I mean, think about your favorite princess. She's living the good life, right? She's happy. She has all the things she needs. She's not grasping to get her needs met, because if she needs something, she just asks her father, or she just gets it because she already has it. And that's very similar to what you have. You have all the things, or you can just ask your father, right? And when we live from that identity, oh, it's just so powerful. Allowing yourself to name emotions and feel them fully with love, compassion, and validation. I'm just going to give you a little quick example of what that looks like, because sometimes you may not be like, I don't even know what that sounds like. So let's say I'm feeling discouraged, which I kind of was feeling a bit heavy this morning. We recently had a big traumatic event here on our farm, and it's still hanging on with me. Anyway, and so I was allowing myself to feel that. And how that sounds for me is like, I say it out loud because there's something additional that helps when you say things out loud and you hear them yourself. So it sounds to me like, Cara, thank you for sharing that you're discouraged. I love you. I love you no matter how you feel. And it matters to me that you're hurting. It matters to me that you're discouraged. I'm going to be here with you while you feel this fully. You're safe. You're safe to feel. Right? And that is so beautiful. That is that healing. Those are the words that God's saying over you too. That's what he says when you're hurting in any way. Everything that you're feeling matters to your Father. And he speaks that over you every time. That's his voice. And so you're just agreeing with that abundant love and compassion and that validation from him. And that starts to heal. It starts to heal so many things in your heart. And then enjoy receiving again. Just maybe start with a little thing. Maybe it's a compliment somebody offers you. And instead of saying, oh, no, I don't. I look horrible today. Oh my gosh, did you see my hair? Right? You're like, thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you for noticing. Right? Maybe you're receiving a little help. Maybe you allow someone to take one of the bags of groceries off of your, off the 59 that are on your arms. Maybe you're receiving some care. My husband literally rubs my feet almost every single night, and I receive it. Praise God. I'm like, yes. Right? Whatever it is, just start with receiving one thing. See how that feels. And remember, health is more than a number, right? It's more than a number, any number, whatever number it is that you're choosing right now. Your weight, blood sugar number, whatever number, calories, protein, I don't know. But it's more than a number. It includes your emotional peace, your nervous system healing, feeling safe in your body no matter what's happening around you. And I understand if there's like actual physical danger, okay, then you're not feeling safe in that moment. But even amidst, I'm talking stress and discouragement and, your kids all pulling on you, you can feel safe even amidst all the crazy, right? Healthy relationships. Your marriage stress, it matters. My body will still tell me when there's marriage stress for me, I get an instant headache. Like my body remembers and it shows up. And I'm like, ding, ding, ding. And I tell my husband, hey, guess what? We got to pay attention to this because I have a headache. Reduced stress, right? This is what true health is about. That connection with God and your joy and vitality. I want you feeling fully alive. I want you loving your life as a woman, every part of it. So, little reflection here. Your body's not your enemy, right? You're not failing. Softness is not weakness. Sometimes healing begins when a woman finally feels safe enough to stop surviving and start thriving again, coming back to that beautiful femininity that's already in you. So some questions to think about is like, where am I living in survival mode? Right? Is it in your marriage? Is it in, your lack of rest? Is it in the to-do list that's a mile long? Is it in not being able to say no to people? What stress are you carrying? Maybe you're like, okay, I'm going to need an entire notepad for that. That's okay. It's important to know. It's important to notice. What are you carrying? What would softness look like for you? What would that feel like for you? How do you want to communicate differently? And what would support feel like? Get really clear about what that would feel like or look like, because that'll make it easier for you to communicate about it. Okay? So I'm here for all the questions too, but I wanted to give you, if you want any more support in this area, anything that we've talked about, you can find me on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, cara.nitz, TikTok. I don't really love TikTok, but I do contribute to it. I don't really consume it, but it's Cara Nitz Marriage Coach there. And then our website, which has free resources and a lot of information on other things like coaching and our podcast and all kinds of things, is www.thewayforlove.com. And then I'm going to share here in the chat somehow, if I can figure it out, I want to share a free masterclass that I have that I think is going to be so helpful for you. It is the 3-step communication method to finally being heard. And you can just click the link I'm going to share and you'll get access to it even tonight. And it is so powerful. It's not your typical, like, here's a bunch of tips on how to communicate better. No, it's going deeper. I always try to get to the root, right? And so I am really excited for you to have that. So I'm going to figure out how to stop sharing and get you that link. But yes, I would love any and all questions. So please don't be shy.
Cara, that was so good. Just like there's so many layers. And I'll say, I'm a pastor's wife. And I think there's a couple of people here that go to my church. So it's that sense of like, even in the midst of, I married a very godly man. I know he loves us. He's faithful and all. And still, because I came into my marriage from this place of striving, you had mentioned about if I could just be enough, if kind of like if I could be seen, if I could get enough awards and validation and praise from people, maybe I would feel worth something. And so I came into my marriage with that like looming on us. And so just knowing that I would carry all the bags and then or if I felt like the door wasn't open for me and I have to open it for me, like why me? So to have that sense of understanding that like, okay, there's healing from that. And that's an energy that God doesn't want us having to carry around on us. It's a burden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's my 2 cents. Ladies, ask questions or thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts too.
So she was saying something earlier that was talking about like to see yourself how the way the Lord sees you and to love yourself the way that God loves you, and that we know that God loves us, but sometimes that's hard for us to accept when we have so many flaws. I suffer from that daily. And I think that's a big part of my healing journey is knowing the truth of God and believing that, goodness, no matter what I'm going through, God loves me. He's here for me and to value myself. So I feel you on that one. I heard you really well on that one.
Yeah, that's it's so easy. And I think a lot of Christians, especially, sometimes the sneaky message that we sometimes hear in church and in religious stuff is like, you're not enough, right? You need to do better. You need to be better. You need to stop doing that. But I believe that when you see yourself the way God sees you, you naturally show up with those fruits of the Spirit, right? Because you have the Holy Spirit in you and you naturally shine out everything that's in you. And it's not something that you need to look at yourself and beat yourself up for and, whip yourself for, whether that's, in your mind or out loud, where it's like, oh goodness, you did that again. Oh, look at you, right? That's not God's voice over us ever, ever.
Amen.
No, that's not the way he sees you. He sees you with complete acceptance and constant love. And I think a lot of times we have a hard time understanding that because we don't experience that kind of love from anybody on earth. Like nobody can give us that, but he can. And so I encourage you to ask him about it because he wants to show you in real felt ways what that looks like.
So good. And I see Nicole shared in the chat. She says, literally everything you said, I don't even know what to ask. Everything just resonated. I'll second that. And there is a mid to like in the depth of the healing. I will say I've told these ladies so many times, I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, even 6 months ago in some areas. So to see where I could resonate what you were saying of where I was and where I am, just the running into the grocery store, literally that sense of constant urgency, that was me all the time, just like feeling like I don't have time to. And like, well, why don't I have time to? If why can't I just enjoy my drive without feeling like I'm constantly behind? So yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just coaching one of my clients the other day, and we were just talking about her body is literally in a state of overwhelm now. So she's starting to have shutdown happening in her body. And so I was just explaining how it is a very critical state. And a lot of times we think if something's not, medically like visible, like, okay, her leg's not dangling there, or she's not having a heart attack. And so we somehow think that's less than, but when your body is showing you that it is stressed and it is in pain and you're in this masculine energy, that is an alarm bell. Anyway, I was just encouraging her, just like I was encouraging you guys, to start this quiet time with God in the morning, even outside. And she was like, well, I can listen to a podcast, right? And I'm like, no, like you can, but it's not going to be restful for you. But we are so often like, I got to multitask. I got to do this and that. If I can do this and that at the same time, that's better. That's going to somehow whatever, but it's not helping us. It's really not. It is, we're so used to everything going at such a fast pace and doing as much as humanly possible. We're in a culture of just performance and doing all the time. We've lost this beauty of presence and slowness and enjoying. And it's so powerful.
Absolutely. So good. I feel like everyone's just resonated so deeply with this. I'm so glad you came on. And you're always welcome to come back and share whenever you want. This is
happy to do so.
Awesome. Anyone else want to share anything? We've got about 10 more minutes together.
Hi. So when I first got with my husband, he actually said to me how to communicate, because we started off rough right away. We got married and then his daughter came to live with us. So things in the dynamics changed really fast from, having no child to a 10-year-old living with us who he had been estranged from. He had very little of a relationship with. So we had the conversations on how to talk. And so he said, if you want me to do something, you have to actually tell me specific. You can't just say, honey, I need you to do. You need to tell me specifically when it needs to be done by. And so we battled. I mean, if you had said to me 3 years ago, I was ready to divorce him. He became such a alcoholic, I couldn't do with it. And God miraculously works in very strange ways. But after a 3-day stint in the hospital, he now hasn't had a drink in 3 years. Because of that, that's allowed me to quit my stressful job, do other stressful things, but allowed me to just deal with things. And so all of it came about because my mom had passed, and I was so scared to have to take him with me. Because as a functioning alcoholic, I was babysitting him as a child, not as treating him as a husband. And so all those things you say are so important. And I have taken a journey that he's not on. I feel like I can see small changes as I change, but his journey has to be his. I'm going to heal myself no matter what. And so we've,
So good.
I've definitely been there. And so it's true. And so to hear you say those things, okay, I am doing all the right things for me. And that's huge. So thank you.
Yeah. And, I think sometimes we forget, I know for me, oh my goodness, I struggled so much with thinking that if I needed him to change, and the only way to get him to change was to keep trying to get him to change. But that is actually the opposite of what works, right? It is when you come back to your femininity and you're showing up that way, that actually inspires so much in a man. And we do not know the power that's there. And so I love that, right? You don't need to mother him. You don't need to fix him. You don't need to change him. And relaxing into who you are and into God's love and, on your own healing journey, that's powerful and beautiful. And I'm really proud of you, and praise God for your husband and, and the healing that he's had so far in the alcoholism and all that.
Yeah, he's 3 years sober.
Oh, awesome. Wow. That's incredible.
So
and
good.
Not even a want to drink. So that's amazing.
Wow. That's awesome.
Fantastic. Praise God. So good. Oh, this has been awesome. Anyone else want to share any final thoughts with Cara? And make sure y'all grab her masterclass, please. Like, that's just phenomenal.
I hope you love it. It is a powerful thing. All the things that I shared, you guys, I do it myself, and I have shared it because it has worked, and it has worked for thousands of women too. So, just thank you guys so much for having me. And I'm so glad that this resonated with you. If I can help anyone relax more into who God made them to be and just enjoy his love more, I am all for it. I'm here all day long. Well, maybe not all day long.
So good. All right. So this session is recorded. I'll be sending out an email tomorrow with the replay, and hopefully that song you mentioned about the father. Yes, I can send that out in the email as well. I'm also going to include the link to the masterclass, if that's okay, Cara, just help all the ladies, anyone who missed it, to still take advantage, because I know it's such a great resource. But my prayer is that every month as we come together and as we feature a guest speaker, that y'all will feel blessed, inspired. If you come across people that you know will speak life into our community, I invite you to share them with me. As we like I have in the Village app, you can see a list of trusted professionals. Cara is on there. You can access her website. You can contact her. And just know that as we grow as a village, we're going to keep bringing in more and more professionals that can be trusted, that serve the Lord, and that want to bring him glory in the stewardship in whatever capacity that they have been led to do that. So thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you, Cara. And we'll see you all on the other side. All right. Have a great night, everyone.
Night.
Good night.